Welcome to Kerbal Space program. This is a game I used to play all the time. I haven't really done much since 1.6, but today we're going to start a career mode and we're going to play a little bit. I've been really inspired by a lot of the space news, and also Kerbal Space Program 2 was recently announced. So we're starting a new save. We're going to call this, YouTube save, but we're going to actually have our special flag in this case, and our special flag is going to be a Hatter custom flag that I put together. So again, name it YouTube and choose the Hatter flag. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is pick up a couple of contracts. These contracts give us money, they give us reputation, yada yada yada. They help us progress as a space program. We're going to throw together a simple science ship and put Bob on the science ship so that we can quickly collect the science, and I'm going to fast forward through most of the science collection so you don't have to see that. And in fact, we're going to fast forward through most of the video. Anyway, here we're going to grab and launch and pitch towards the ocean. I did forget to do an EVA report, so we didn't get quite as much science as I would have liked, and that's going to really prevent us from getting everything in the fewest launches possible. Anyway, we grab science in flight, and then we're going to grab science in the water and do a quick splashdown and recovery. Throughout most of this video, I'm going to be at really fast speeds so you don't have to sit through a giant boring video and just watch the little things happening. But at the beginning here, we're just going to, go at our own pace. So now we're going to upgrade the astronaut complex. This gives us the ability to EVA, and then once we can EVA, we can get more science and we can reset things more rapidly. So here we get the survivability and the more science upgrades, and then we're going to add a barometric pressure sensor and a thermometer here so that way we can get better science, and then jump over to the spaceplane hangar and then launch on the runway. Runway is a different biome, so we get more science there. It really helps out when you're trying to get started in this game just to jump between these two biomes to scrub a little bit more science than we could have at the first one. This time we're going to pitch towards the grass, and the grasslands is again another biome, so we can get new science data on the grass. Now, this particular route wasn't perfectly efficient. Like I said, I missed a few EVA reports and a little bit of science, but you get the idea. The more we can grab throughout the flight, the better things are going to be. So now we'll grab the science on the ground and then return to the astronaut or the science center and buy the crew or buy the science junior. And here I wanted to get this next level, but I was literally like half a science short. So what we're gonna do is just toss on the science junior and this collection vessel, so that way we don't have to manually grab everything by hand. And then eventually we're going to take this to space, so we're going to put a heat shield on the bottom. Grab the science, EVA report, go back in, yada yada yada, and now we can afford the heavy rocketry. So now we're going to look for some more contracts that we can actually take. So we're going to test some parachutes, we're going to test we're going to escape the atmosphere. Now, to escape the atmosphere, we're putting a decoupler on this giant rocket, or this giant thing that we got, and then hit launch. Really quick and easy to upgrade. We're going to pin all of our science to the side, grab some of the stuff that we know we can reset, and make sure that we got all the science we can. And then we'll do an EVA, reset those things, and launch. And now that we launch, we're going to go not straight up, but up at a little bit of an angle, because the more of an angle that you're at when you re-enter, you can actually take advantage of more time in the atmosphere so that you don't burn up and blow up your ship. I should have reduced the thrust on this because I blew up my stabilizing fins, but it didn't matter, so we'll keep on going. Anyway, in orbit, or in space, we're going to get new science. But this actually does, like, space counts as either high space or low space, so this is effectively the same science you'd get from orbiting. except for some EVA specific science. So really, it's the next mission of getting to orbit is kind of just it's not the most like efficient science-wise to do it that way, but it worked just fine. We got plenty of science on those 2 flights. So deploy our parachute, come down, and then grab science on the ground. And I think we can only really get the Science Junior, and maybe a little bit from Mysterious Goo, because this is, again, the grass biome, the grassland biome. So not really the most useful for us to land here. And then after we recover here, give it a minute, we're going to take and upgrade, get more rocket parts, some more fuel, the launch clamps, and then some of the parts so we can do satellites. We're going to upgrade the the tracking center so we can get the ability to see statistics on the map, and then we're going to upgrade the mission control so we can have up to 9 missions, and also we can plot maneuver nodes. Maneuver nodes are our ability to predict what will happen if you turn your rocket engine on in a specific angle for a specific amount of time, and it will tell you how far you will go or how much your orbit will change. And that's super, super useful. It's probably one of the reasons that KSP actually has a big following, is because that's really the only tool that you have for learning the rocket equation, unless you really do know rocket science. We're going to do a really quick flight here just to get a couple of contracts. We're going to get the parachute, and we're going to get the test the swivel or the hammer engine at the launch site. That's so that we can get some funds to build our actual first orbital rocket. When we bought those 2 upgrades to the KSC, we kind of used up all of the money that we had, and we needed to do some contract work just to get enough money to make our next launch. So now this is going to be the first orbital vessel, and this is going to be the last vessel of this video. So if you stuck around this long, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. But we're going to go to orbit. We're going to orbit a couple of times. We're going to take some science around in space, but to get to orbit, we're going to be using liquid fuel. We're also going to use a probe core, because a probe core allows us to stabilize a vessel even though we have a scientist on board, and that is really useful. So if we look on the right side at the bottom, you'll see these delta V measurements. I'm going to be playing with those in a little bit, but right now we've got 1800 at sea level. I usually set this to 10 kilometers to see what we've got. We've got about 4,000 at 10 kilometers, and that's probably going to be enough to get us into orbit. That's about all I really check. You can check to see that what you're in vacuum and whatever is by manipulating that same thing that I showed you for the 10 kilometer. Now to get to orbit, you want to pitch over a little bit. The ideal way to get into orbit is to be going a few hundred meters per second at 45 degrees at 10 kilometers. If you go too flat, you're going to use too much time in the atmosphere. If you go straight up, it's going to be really inefficient. You want to actually be kind of going at an angle, because most of your energy needs to go into going around and not into going up. The more energy you spend going up, the kind of less efficient your ascent is going to be. So the goal is to get above 70,000 meters, 70 kilometers, which is the space line, and then I usually go to 80, 85, something like that. And then we're going to extend out, and you see this is the maneuver node stuff that we paid upgrades for. We had to get both the tracking center and the mission control to upgrade those. I'm not doing the best job of burning horizontally. I'm actually picking up altitude more than I want to. I really only want to pick up horizontal speed. So this is not the most efficient ascent by any means. I am not the best Kerbal Space program player, but we're going to go to warp to apoapsis, and then we're going to do another burn. And then we will see we're in space. We'll circularize a little bit. We're going to go to 90 by 100 orbit. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. Now we're going to grab science, and as you can see, most of the science was not really useful. what we really get science for is just doing an EVA report above specific biomes. So it's going to be pretty dark for a little bit, but we can do EVA report over mountains, plains, highlands, lowlands, or highlands, plains, deserts, mountains, and midlands, I believe. I can't remember if there's midlands in Kerbin or not, but what we're doing is we're just spamming EVA report and seeing if we get different things over different spots and trying to get as many of these as we can. Oh, we also have over waters and over coastlines, but we already got the coastlines, so we don't have to worry about that. Eventually I just get bored of hitting these two buttons, so we're gonna start a re-entry burn after we check this one last continent. And we didn't have anything there. So now we're gonna do the burn on the dark side, so that way we land on the light side. We're also gonna do it at Apoapsis, which is actually the best place to do the adjustment for shrinking our periapsis. If you want to adjust yourself the most, you do it either at Apoapsis or periapsis, ideally. We'll cover some more of that later in future videos. But we actually ran out of electric charge, so we're doing this purely ballistic, which was risky, which is why you see me watching it from the side. I have no control over the rocket at this point. We just have to hope that the back end goes in first. And there are two stable directions for this teardrop shape that we have. One is the heat shield going first, and the other is the nose cone going first. And really, that's what we are hoping for, is that the heat shield stays down. If the nose goes down, we blow up, and that's a bad day. I was looking here, and it looks like we were going to land on top of a mountain, so I set the altitude of the parachute to really, really high, because I didn't want to explode. And it looks like I was way overkill. We actually missed the mountain by a little bit, and we came down way, way too long. So it's going to be a lot of time in this particular setting. But I thought, hey, this might be a good opportunity for a screenshot. So while we're descending through the fog, grab some science, and then we'll pan around without the UI on so we can see what that looks like. I don't know if I use this for the thumbnail or not, but it was kind of cool to see the clouds and the whatever. This is not stock visuals. This is using Scatterer and a few other visual mods. I don't even know what I have installed. Sorry, I can maybe look it up and put it in the description, but I really like this. I think it's Scatterer and Parallax, and the Parallax mod does the ground tessellation, which makes it look nice, and Scatterer does the clouds. Anyway, as we start to land, you can see sunrise and whatever is popping up, and we will touch down, check to see if we have more science to grab, and then recover. And I think that is pretty much where it's going to do it for today. So I really enjoyed Kerbal Space program. I realize that it's not what people are used to seeing on this channel. I don't know if this is something that's going to become regular or not. I still want to play through a good bit of Kerbal Space program, so I'm going to post a few videos on it. I want to get to other planets and land on the moon. I've done the Mun before, I've done Minmus, but I've never done any of the other planets, so I really want to do those as a first try and put them on camera. So if you like the video, subscribe, and if you want more of this, please let me know. I really do enjoy making it, and it's probably going to happen one way or the other. So anyway, this is Mad Hatter, and I'm out. Bye!